According to Statista, the number of global supply chain disruptions is rising. In 2021, we hit over 11,000 supply chain disruptions worldwide. North America was the region with the highest share of disruptive events. I'm Rebecca from Cargas, and today on Tech Innovators, we're talking to Josh Horvath, the president of PrecisionForm Incorporated, an American manufacturer for aerospace, automotive, defense, and industrial spaces since 1986. Before we chat with Josh, we would be so happy if you considered subscribing, leaving a comment down below with your thoughts on supply chain management, or just giving a thumbs up at any point during the interview. That being said, let's talk to Josh. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. We are very excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So you are the president of PrecisionForm. Can you talk a little bit about the company's mission?
Sure, absolutely. Our mission is to provide our customers with unique solutions, leveraging our experience in cold forming and also machining. Our long history of manufacturing experience, commitment to quality, and drive to perform is right now what's enabling growth for us across several different vertical markets that we serve.
What are some of the main products and parts that you manufacture?
So PrecisionForm isn't so much a product company as we are a manufacturing company, and we offer manufacturing competencies to our customers. So when you think about that, we have three primary manufacturing competencies that we offer. The first is cold forming. And this is a process where we buy raw material, and without heat, we apply pressure between a header and a die in a machine and essentially smash metal into different shapes. And as an example, the finished good would be a industrial rivet or a blank for a fastener. The second is multi-spindle rotary transfer machining. And this is a process where we load bar stock into machines, and each machine station performs a unique step. So the bar stock goes into each station, and after it completes its step, it rotates or indexes to the next station and continues to do that until the finished part completes the cycle and is ejected from the machine. The third competency that we offer is what I would say more traditional CNC machining, where we offer capabilities in Swiss machines, we offer capabilities in horizontal mills, we offer capabilities in fairly new technology mill turn machines, fixed head lathes. So with these capabilities, we serve markets for commercial fasteners, aerospace fasteners, the firearms market, automotive customers, fluid and flow control components, medical customers, and a broad variety of other kind of specialty industrial applications.
How do you keep all of that organized? Is there software you use for inventory, sort of production? Like what kind of does it look like on that internal side?
Sometimes it feels like we stay organized better than other days, but typical for most manufacturing companies. But in all seriousness, there's two parts of this answer here. We are an ISO certified company, so a lot of our processes have standard work instructions and documentations to help us make sure that we do the same thing the same way every time, so we can deliver consistent quality for our customers. So in addition to that, so that's really the framework that we operate in. The tools that we use an ERP system, and that helps us manage and organize our order management, the standard financial practices within our business, daily production work, so managing shop floor production, managing our raw material, managing our purchasing for MRO items, and also managing of our warehouse and shipping processes. Integrated within that system, we have several databases that we use to store and also document information related to material certifications, lot traceability. So one of the unique requirements that a lot of our customers have, especially when you talk about aerospace business, is we need to have full traceability of material that's used in every production lot all the way back to the raw material source. And we have to be able to demonstrate and provide that information at any point in time, and we have to keep this on record forever. So we have several systems that allow and enable us to do that for material service. We also document and control all of our quality records and databases, and then manage our general process documentation and other critical process information within databases. After that, I think we really, on a daily basis, through our Gemba walks, through our production planning schedules, we communicate frequently through the day between our production departments, planning, and sales to make sure that we're prioritized on the right things.
With that, what ERP system do you use?
So we use an ERP system provided by Infor that's called Visual. And it's called Visual Manufacturing, and there's a finance aspect to this and reporting as well. But Visual Manufacturing is really focused primarily on order-driven manufacturing companies. So when you are a make-to-order type of company where you receive an order, you build a product, you ship the product. The majority of our business follows that model. We have some strategic customers that we stock finished goods of so we can ship from stock instead of shipping on a throughput basis from an order. But the majority of what we do is we process orders, manufacture, and ship. So this ERP system is tailored for that type of production flow through a shop floor. They call it visual. If you look into the system, there is literally a visual representation of the routing for the production process for each part. And it starts with your header card, and then you have a raw material that's used, and then you have each individual process step finalizing and completing with your shipping instructions. So it's a visual way of representing the process that you can see. And then, of course, there's all the traditional data that's behind that.
I want to transition now into the main topic that we're chatting about today, which is supply chain. We've all kind of had a taste of supply chain disruption in the wake of really everything that's happened over the past 2 years.
Right.
It's affecting how we purchase everything from pet food to computer graphics cards to cars. And that's really, we're seeing it on the consumer side a lot. And I was curious what this supply chain disruption looks like on the manufacturing side.
Yeah, this has been I would say a tough few years, really starting with COVID. I think generally speaking, there's some common industry themes, but there's also some unique challenges that we're facing in our manufacturing processes here at PrecisionForm. I think the biggest one, and I would say arguably the most important for being a manufacturing company, we're in a period of time right now, unlike any other that I've seen in my career. We're attracting, retaining, and working with our most important asset, which is our people, is specifically challenging. Colleagues and friends that I speak with across industries, across the nation, are reporting the same challenges. So it's not necessarily specifically unique to us. This is really an industry challenge. And it's important when you talk about supply chain, this includes our human resources as well. And it's providing some unique constraints and challenges as we're trying to locate and find talent to help us do what we do. Now, specific to PrecisionForm, it's another also industry trend. We are seeing a skills gap that's fairly well documented out there right now for talent that's experienced in metalworking positions across the board. So machinists, folks that are experienced in running a piece of CNC equipment, that's running a rotary transfer machine, or that has experience running a cold forming header. That's very difficult to find. So what we've resorted to is really finding people that have the right fit for our culture, that have the right work ethic, because if that's present in the folks that come to us for an interview, we can always teach them how to do what we do. So that's really where we started to focus and put our energy into, is finding the talent that's going to be the right fit for our business, the right fit for our culture, so they can be successful, and then we can be successful in the long term. So that's the first and probably one of the more challenging things that we've encountered over the past year or two. Now, the more traditional, I think, supply chain questions and things like that, COVID initiated some supply chain constraints for a lot of raw materials that started with demand decreasing, so a lot of major manufacturers, specifically metal mills, either shut mills down or they significantly reduce their capacity by running very intermittent work plans. So as a result, the supply chain generally started to dry up. When you do that, it takes quite a lengthy period of time to restart a large metal mill.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen some short term from the past, I would say, year. That's where it all started. One of the challenges is when you start to see supply constraints, the typical reaction in the market is everyone tries to buy more because they're trying to hedge and build some inventory. So
Right.
it only makes a bad situation and makes it significantly worse because now not only do you have a supply constraint, everyone went and tried to buy more than what they need. So it makes the lead times they expand significantly. So if our traditional lead time was an 8 or 12-week lead time for a piece of raw material, bar stock or something like that, it's not uncommon right now to see lead times anywhere from 30 to 40 some weeks. And when you're trying to plan production, I mean, you're talking about 3/4 of a year that you have to plan for raw material procurement. And that introduces a whole nother level of complexity to try and plan and purchase and manage your raw material purchases. In addition to that, now that you've got a supply constraint and everyone trying to buy more, a lot of manufacturers try to manage this through pricing. So they try and curb demand through a typical supply and demand economics. They try and manage that by increasing prices dramatically in some cases. So across the board, tooling, shop supplies, raw material, we're seeing substantial raw material pricing increases, which is very difficult to manage when you have supply contracts with customers or your customers have supply contracts with their customers and they only have periodic times that they can actually implement price increases. So we're trying to really do our best to work with everyone. There are some things, force majeure, that we have to implement and introduce price increases because we need to cover our costs. And managing a business successfully through this time involves really some difficult conversations from time to time, but it's what we have to do to protect the integrity of our profitability and the business in general. Further making it more difficult in the metal industry, the war in Ukraine is causing supply chain disruptions in that country specifically, as their infrastructure is crumbling and being destroyed by the war. But then also in the general Eastern European region, it's created a lot of additional challenges. So there's a significant portion of the global metal supply industry comes out of that region, and that's trickling down almost immediately into the global supply. Nickel is a resource that comes out of the ground, obviously, in that region as well. And that's having a substantial increase into materials that have a lot of nickel in them. So when you think about stainless steel, it's commonly used metal alloy for parts that we manufacture for our customers. Stainless steel, we're seeing raw material costs in some cases almost double for certain alloys based on the nickel content and general availability. So, and this is happening in the past 3 months. So it's really unprecedented price volatility for raw material that's very, very difficult to manage because it's not the 10%, it's 100% increase. And trying to manage that expectation with customers is challenging, but again, it's something that we have to do. Aluminum in general, if you look at the aluminum market, they're all-time historical highs for metal. And the aluminum alloys, just because of market dynamics and everything going on around the world right now. So generally, material shortages, delayed deliveries, significant price increases, and lead times are all things that are impacting us on a daily basis right now as we try to manufacture products and ship them for our customers.
And it's scary because those are things that are just out of your control. It all goes all the way back up. And I'm sure that the delays that were happening 2 years ago, they're still creating aftershocks that companies like PrecisionForm are feeling today.
Yeah.
how do you manage that beyond the obvious, the price increase that basically every company has had to adopt?
I think
What processes, or like, what are you doing to help mitigate that further?
I think at the end of the day, we can only manage what we can manage, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
what we can influence. Um, what we've made a lot of effort and really tried to promote this with our employees a lot is trying to focus on execution every day with
Mm-hmm.
what and a lot of this, it's really managing people and your resources to make sure that they have clear focus, they know what is important, and that we as leadership in the business provide clear direction to prevent confusion. Because one of the very interesting dynamics is with all of these disruptions, if you don't have a clear plan, it is very easy to get sideways and wrapped around the axle and trying to decide what to do and
Mm-hmm.
what to do next. And if this doesn't happen, do we revert and go back to the plan B? And if you don't stay on top of that very carefully and provide very clear direction to the team, everything grinds to a halt almost instantaneously. So
Mm-hmm.
we put a lot of effort into trying to more proactively work with our teams and make sure that they don't personally feel the weight and pressure and stress of all these market dynamics. And we try and just like, listen, these are just challenges. Yes, it's disruptive. Yes, it introduces this dynamic to our daily work that we can't control, but recognize it as that. Let's make good decisions about what we do today, and let's do everything we can to deliver product to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
The second piece of that is just eliminating as much non-value add effort every single day. Like get rid of things that don't help us move the ball ahead and finish product and get it shipped to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the most important jobs for someone in my role being a leader in a company is to empower our employees to embrace that mantra and really feel comfortable making those type of decisions, so they focus on the right things.
It's really then creating a culture that is able to openly communicate about processes and ways to streamline everything.
Yep. And issues. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have to hide a problem. You don't have to, and it's okay. We have to be courageous and be willing to come out and just say, here's the issue that we're encountering. How can we address it? What's the best decision? If we can't make a decision as a team, we escalate to the next chain of command, and we request a decision. And that's how we're trying to run. It's a culture I'm trying to change here in our business. We're making great progress with that. And that is what's going to make the difference in, I think for me, companies that are successful through this period and ones
Mm-hmm.
that really struggle.
Yeah, it ultimately comes down to the people, because the technology can tell you, give you the forecasts and give you the inventory, but the people are really the ones who can see, how can we use the technology effectively?
Yep.
How can we work effectively?
Yep. Yep.
Looking at the process side of things, did you
Mm-hmm.
have to change any internal processes to battle that price volatility?
Yes, to some extent. And I think when
Mm-hmm.
we're changing, you talk about changing things, I think the most important thing to do, I think, in some of these cases is really to adjust your planning horizons and try and best understand what's going on in the market so we can
Mm-hmm.
react and respond accordingly. Because then the one thing we all hate surprises.
Yes.
So I think the one of the things that we have to change, that we've tried to put in place here, is to really get out in front of some of these issues and try and look further ahead and talk with our customers about extending their forecasting horizons, about looking a little bit further out so we can try and understand where are these constraints going to come up, do some risk analysis and decide how best can we address it and mitigate that. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we change. We haven't changed anything about how we produce our product and how we run product through our plant. I don't necessarily want to oversimplify, but we receive material, we produce it, and we ship it.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of change that's required for us. I think it's maybe a very different answer for like an electronics manufacturing company where you're trying to decide
Right.
how you're going to do with all these end-of-life components and manufacture that. But for us, this is really mostly around how are we managing these challenges and trying to de-risk the reality and the probability that these supply disruptions are going to happen.
Mhm. Can I ask more in the range of, or in the realm of technology? What, like, does your ERP tool allow you to do forecasting for inventory and orders? And has the technology been able to keep up with kind of the funky, to put it lightly, supply chain disruption?
Yep. I think that let me come back around. Okay, so how do we use our ERP system? How do we use forecasting? And then I want to go back to a little bit of the technology as well.
Mhm.
So we use in our system, we use forecasting to keep ahead of the inventory and understand the demand planning from our customers. So we're working to strengthen that right now. And we've proactively reached out to several of our strategic customers and the high volume customers, where if material supply disrupts that, it's actually going to create a fairly lengthy supply gap.
Mhm.
And we want to make sure that they're aware of what's going on in the market, and then we can work together to address that. So I can share an example of something that happened just about 2 weeks ago. We were informed by one of our trusted metal suppliers that we were going to have a delay in a delivery. And it was going to be substantial, 8 weeks. So it was going to be a
Mhm.
2-month delay in us receiving material that we had planned to receive now. So immediately we engaged and got on the phone with our customer, and then this all worked out to our advantage. So communication is always going to be a key part of solutions.
Right.
And trying to work through problems. So we were able to determine with our customer the work in process that we had, the safety stock that they had in their plant and on their dock. And we were able to narrow down what is the real supply gap, because it's not going to be just the 8 weeks that we have. It's going to be significantly less than that, based on using up some of the strategic safety stock that's available within the supply chain. And we were able to determine that we had about a 6-week buffer where we can carefully react and respond to the shortage and make sure that we validate our plan, we proceed with caution, we don't overcompensate, and then we work through the challenge. And at the end of the day, our customer was very happy because we're able to have this discussion before it was, where are my parts? They didn't show up today, and now I'm going to be down for 2 months. We were able to get out in front of that and have that discussion. And in the end of the day, we came up with a good plan that's good for them and it's good for us. So I think that's one thing that I think that type of communication and getting in front of using that forecasting and having that discussion with customers as soon as possible is going to help us work through that. And that's something that we're trying to extend to additional customers as we work. Some of our customers provide forecasts and visibility months in advance. Others don't at all, because that's not how their business model works. They're quoting their customers. They have no visibility of demand. They're a distributor. We sell to distributors. We sell to end customers. So our customer makeup varies as well. And it's not always possible to get forecasts. So then it's really a collective discussion around how do we best prepare for the opportunity that's out in the market. Going back to how are we addressing some of the with technology and with different tools and things like that. We are working to implement process automation for repetitive tasks here at PrecisionForm. What that's allowing us to do is it's enabling our growth where we don't have to hire more people to do more work. We can use the good, trained, and talented staff that we have to do more by introducing some process automation into the equation, where a single resource can now manage 2 machines because we have a robot loading the machine and they can manage the robot in addition to doing some work themselves. So we're using automation as a multiplier to try and enable our growth. By doing that, it's also helpful to really automate the repetitive tasks, because we want to keep our employment opportunities interesting for candidates. Coming in and doing a repetitive task where you're loading a part into a machine and unloading it and loading it, the reality is that sometimes that's boring. But if you're doing that and managing a robot, then the position becomes a lot more exciting. So we're using that really to our advantage to try and enable growth. We've implemented several solutions across inspection, machine loading, material handling with great success. We've developed enough of a competency and a relationship with Universal Robots that we're introducing a small automation division here to offer services to our customers, to integrators in the area and other manufacturers in the market. Precision Cobotics is the name of this small venture. And our website will be live here in the next week or two that will fully explain our capabilities within the next few weeks. So that's one example of how we're trying to implement and use technology to mitigate some of the labor issues and address how can we grow in the face of having some struggles finding people to come work in our business.
It's interesting talking about the automation capabilities because Cargas sells ERP software, and it's interesting because so many of the companies that we see getting ERP software are getting it because in part they need to automate these processes. They want more time to do value adding activities, things like interacting with customers, the interpersonal side. So I know that there's for so long there's been this big fear that robots are taking our jobs, but that's not necessarily the case. Robots are transforming how we do our jobs. And they are giving us more flexibility with what we do.
And then really as we're talking about introducing cobots to our employees, this is from the very beginning, it's never ever about displacing employees and trying to cut costs. It's literally an opportunity to help grow in the face of labor constraints. And that's when you explain it like that and really then live that up. We've introduced several robots into our production operations. We're hiring more people. We're trying to hire to continue to grow. This isn't a case where we introduce robots and we let 4 or 5 operators go. That's never the case. And it's really, we're using it again, like I said earlier, as a multiplier to try and bring that manufacturing process automation into the equation to mitigate some of these repetitive tasks and make the work also more interesting for our employees. And it's a key step, and I think it is the way that we and other manufacturers are going to be successful moving forward into the future.
If you had to quantify how many hours or even days using robots and using this predictive and automated workflow technology, how much time do you think it saved you?
What I can say is that for robotic automation of repetitive tasks in a manufacturing environment, it's very easy to look to how much labor savings do we have, so then we can take that labor that we have and have them go do other things. And one of the benefits of a robot is that it can work 24 hours a day. And it works all through the night, and it works on holidays and weekends if you want it to. And there's no constraints there as long as you can feed the robot product and provide it a way to deal with the product when it's done with the process. So that is your opportunity, and for every robot that you can every robot that you can introduce, you can eliminate this repetitive task for one of your people, so you can take them and have them focus on value add operations. So,
and that would be especially important, thinking about weekends and holidays and after hours, because we have seen some companies that are just employees are overworked, and the robots ensure that we're not burning out our employees and our team members.
It's a pressure relief valve for that as well. And successfully introduced, that's a great way to really mitigate some of that workplace stress that's everyone's feeling right now. This was specifically useful when we had COVID disruptions. Is something where this is very helpful as well. So this is something we're going to have to live and work with for a long, long time. And this is another way that we can effectively mitigate some of those hours lost risk in our business. I mean, you had a question about how technology plays a role in disruptions to supply chain. One of the I think one of the things that a caution is to be careful that we don't overcomplicate challenges by trying to be cute with technology.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's such a valuable place for using technology, and this can be AI looking at data to try and understand and discern trends that maybe aren't readily visible or available when I'm pulling up an Excel spreadsheet and just looking at data. So there are very useful opportunities for how to use technology, but I think the caution is to not run down introducing technology into processes where it's just make work exercises. Mm-hmm. I think it's really about focusing on that value add, because technology is such a huge opportunity, and there's so much that it can do, but you want to make sure that the output of that tool or that process or this new method that we're introducing is going to generate value. And I think if that context is managed and every business leader is focused on making sure that as we develop and introduce technology, we're truly creating value, that's where the success is going to happen.
It's almost a bell curve of, value added is the crest at the very top, but it can quickly go down if you're overusing technology. Yes. Implementing it meaningfully. That's the key. That is the key
always, as with many things, but this is and it's such a huge space, creating focus and trying to determine what is our next step? Where are we truly having an issue that we have a problem to solve? Because you can do things with technology and it doesn't matter, I don't know, but you want to make sure that you're actually solving that problem and creating value.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for sharing your expertise on manufacturing and supply chain and human resources management as well. It was really interesting to learn about just the integration of people and technology in the manufacturing industry. And it's good to hear that PrecisionForm is doing well despite everything.
Yeah, thank you. It's good. We're excited about the future. There's a lot of great things going on in many of the markets that we serve. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of customers that are looking for manufacturers to help solve their problems. And that's where we're uniquely positioned to offer a lot of value and where we're trying to focus. And we're looking forward to continuing to grow the business based on that foundation.
The PrecisionForm team has found success in spite of all of the disruptions happening worldwide with supply chain. In fact, these disruptions have encouraged the company to pursue ways to streamline a lot of their processes and really focus on people. How have supply chain disruptions impacted your business? What are you doing to mitigate these disruptions? We'd love to hear your story in the comments down below. Tech Innovators is produced by Cargas, a Pennsylvania-based software company offering solutions from Microsoft, Sage, and Salesforce, as well as custom-developed software. If you'd like to learn more about our company, check out our link in the description. Until next time, I'm Rebecca with Cargas Tech Innovators. Thanks for watching.